Welcome to Talks from the Essex Hotel with your hosts, Sarita Patel and Latham Woodward. The views expressed on this show are those of our guests and are not necessarily in line with our opinions, but can be. Please enjoy this program and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. Welcome back to Talks from the Essex Hotel. I'm Latham Woodward today with our co-hostess, Sarita Patel. Sarita, say hi.
Hi, Latham. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Sarita. And today we're very privileged to have Mary Mack of Mary Mack and the Livin Like Kings band in the studio. And this is a follow-up actually to our interview with Arne Frager last week. And your actual name, married name, is Mary Frager, correct?
No.
No.
No, I did not change my passport.
Cool.
Or anything. My last name is Tamburo.
Tamburo.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You've got an interesting story. You started in New York City many years ago, I think, or New York State. And I read in your bio that your mother put you in charge of the household early in life, and you started singing with bands. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Oh, interesting. Like local bands or pickup, or what were you doing?
Oh, well, of course, you start local. We didn't have the internet back then in those days, so you'd look in the back of the music papers. We had a music paper for New York, and we had the Village Voice, and then we had, for the life of me, the New Jersey paper escapes me. It might have been the Metro or something like that.
Okay, cool. Well, you and Sarita have that in common. Sarita spent some time in New York.
Oh.
So that's a common point here this morning. Mary, you sing primarily blues, jazz, and soul. Is that correct?
Well, I learned to love big band when I was a kid because that's what my dad listened to. He was a Frank Sinatra fan, and in later life was a Frank Sinatra tribute singer, I guess you would call him.
Okay.
But rock and blues. Well, blues is, the basis of rock. So jazz, blues, rock, soul.
And what's your favorite genre of all those? Anything, or just a mix?
Oh man, I don't know. It's I guess the soulful blues is what we do in Mary Mack and Livin Like Kings.
And how many members are there in Livin Like Kings? 4 or 5?
Well, it's 5, including me,
right,
as the core band, and then when we have budget, we add the horns.
And I read at one point, I think it was maybe, is it upcoming this year, or was it a couple of years ago, you had a 12-piece band you were traveling with?
Right. Arne was very excited, and he kept adding people to the band. So, and that ended up, we did that gig on it was in July of 2024 at the Throckmorton Theater.
How did that go?
It was an interesting night because a certain event happened that same night that was an attempt on someone's life.
Oh.
And so it kind of shook me because I was thinking, oh no, we're going to lose the election now.
Oh,
so,
there you go.
But it was very strange because of, I'm really violence in general. I mean, I don't know anyone really who's pro-violence, although there seem to be more people these days resorting to that, unfortunately. So it doesn't matter to me what difference of opinion someone is. You either agree or disagree, but you don't take it to...
You don't kill them.
Yeah, you don't try to kill them Oh, man.
Now, obviously, that was after you ran for supervisor, Marin County supervisor once in 2016?
Yes, I did. And that was because, 2010, we released the Can't Go Back CD after many years of recording stops and starts and having to leave the studio because Arne he closed down the operations and left. And eventually, so we finally got it back together 2 years after we left the plant location in Sausalito. And then I got pulled into this local neighborhood issue about a Safe Routes to Schools project, which it's a good program. I mean, who doesn't want a safe route to schools for kids? But I had taken issue because the neighborhood was brought into it after 6 years of planning, and the neighbors were very upset, and I'm very curious, and so people asked me for help, and so I got pulled into that and spent 2 years down a rabbit hole. And then when Mr. Kinsey decided not to run for supervisor again, I decided to run in that election.
Yeah, I think you and Sarita actually are from the same area.
Yeah, well...
We were in District 4, yeah.
When I started to read about that, too, and then I want to kind of go backwards, Latham. I hope you don't mind.
No.
When I read about the sidewalk issue and your opinions about what was going on, and what I saw was that you weren't about this is right or wrong. It was about the speed of how things were going. And also the divisiveness about, whether or not it should be done or not. And it was like what was lost was, what are we doing here at a general concept of how we're building our communities? And because I know that you grew up in HUD housing, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
In New Jersey.
In New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I found was, growing up in that and then being involved in the politics of a pretty affluent county that is spending a lot of time and money on a sidewalk.
Yeah. It struck me because I used to religiously read the Homestead headlines, and I remember seeing a little tiny blurb about restoring an historic walking path.
Mm-hmm.
And then years went by, and it became a $1.1 million concrete sidewalk. And I was like, wow, how did that happen? How did we go from restoring an historic walking path to a $1.1 million 4-block sidewalk?
Okay, I was just about to ask, how big was this?
Yeah.
4 blocks from 1.1
4
million.
blocks from Miller Avenue to Marin Horizon School. And I was not aware. I mean, I knew that there was a little bit of a kerfuffle, or for lack of a better word, there was some resistance to the school expansion several years prior. I think that was in around maybe 2005, if memory serves. But that was when we were going through fighting to keep our business alive in Sausalito, because someone had come in and bought the building and then went around and told everybody he owned the business. And that's just a whole mess I can't really get into right now. But yeah, so I was struck by that. And also because Arne, when he takes charge of something, mm-hmm. he takes charge of something. And so I felt that I really didn't have anything to do with my CD at that point. So I felt like, well, if I don't have anything to say about my music, which was really the only thing I felt I had control over in my life ever from the time when I was a kid, then what am I have no purpose. And then so when the neighbors came and asked me for help, I helped. Mm-hmm. And it just became a big mess.
Well, I hate to get off the sidewalk issue, but you brought up a really good point there about having that purpose in your life, in music. And so what was that got you into that groove? What was it, escapism? Was it just something you totally connected with? Are you classically trained or school trained?
Oh, no, I'm not classically trained. My dad had a little tape recorder, a 4-track tape recorder that he bought from Les Paul. And I think
directly from Les Paul
directly
himself?
From Les Paul.
Oh, wow.
Because Les Paul lived in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And so my dad had this friend, Tony Simonetti, who had a recording studio. And he always just talked about this guy. And so he bought this 4-track machine. And I think I was about 2 or 3 when he started recording me singing Jingle Bells. And he would record my sister. And the thing that we loved about that tape recorder was he used to change the speed, speak slowly, and then he would put it back to regular speed and sound like the Chipmunks. Do you remember Alvin and the Chipmunks?
Oh, of course.
Mm-hmm. So we used to say, Daddy, make the Chipmunks. And so we would do that. And so that was where it started. It's just the comfort always felt comfort around the recording process. And in fact, the one I went to, and I could sing on pitch. And to me, that's one requirement to be a singer, is to be able to sing on pitch. Nowadays with auto-tune.
Oh my God, don't get me started on auto-tune.
I won't. Yeah,
please.
Won't. So, anyway, so as life went on, I just sort of fell into that. Didn't go to school didn't go to college after high school, because it just wasn't explained to me that I could. It wasn't explained to me about scholarships or anything like that. So I just sort of fell into it, and then I went from that to working in a booking agent's office. There was a booking agency called Jack Fisher Agency, which was a very well-known agency in New Jersey in the 70s. And so I went to work for them. And then from that, I got connected to a gentleman by the name of Phil Laredo, who was also a manager of a singer named Michael Bolton, who later became Michael Bolton.
I was just about to ask. That's like oddly weird, Michael Bolton.
Yeah.
But Michael Bolton.
Yeah.
No kidding.
It was interesting. So I actually did some background vocals for his demos for CBS Records when I was about 21 years old.
Wow.
And then I had a...
was he a good singer in person?
He was a good singer in person, yes.
Yeah? I mean, he had a pretty powerful voice.
Yeah, he was in a rock band called Blackjack.
I don't know that.
And that's, if you look up his history, he was in a rock band called Blackjack. And they were managed by the same gentleman, Phil. And so I'm losing my train of thought here. Well, he went off on some tangent.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens with music, right? It's the threads and the chords. And it just ends up being that way.
Yeah. It was really interesting because I was so young and impressionable, and I skipped over a whole big huge part of my life. Was when I was 18, I lost my brother to a tragic accident, and that really impacted our family. So I really threw myself into the music at that point, as because it was a comfortable place.
So were you doing local bars, restaurants, or were you doing actual gigs at venues?
Well, no, it was probably mostly bars. There was a time where I was in 5 different bands at once.
Oh, God.
2 of them were original bands, and then I think 3 of them were cover bands.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
That's a lot of escapism.
Yeah, and just barely making the rent. So things have never changed when it goes to music, because we're kind of back to that. Now, I remember there were a lot of tribute bands back then, as there are now, and I realized it has to do with the songbook.
Yeah. The
songbook of an artist. That's why, Petty Theft is so popular. Tom Petty's got a great
Petty Theft is very popular.
Yeah, they're good guys, and great musicians, really great guys. And so, I don't know, where were we again?
So can I ask, what was the sibling makeup in your family? How many kids?
Oh, we had 4 kids, 3 sisters and 1 brother.
And your brother was where in that lineup?
He was my mother's second child, and I was the 3rd and the 1st, because I was the first of my father's kids. My mother had been married previously.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Because I know Latham said at the very beginning that you kind of took care of a lot at the family level. Right.
Well, when I was 16, when my mother met this fellow that lived, he was traveling around, and she sort of got swept away and went off to, I think it was Indianapolis at first, and left me in charge because I was the sensible one. There was my younger sister who was the baby in the family, and then my older 2 were a little wild. So,
I'm just always curious about, the family makeup, because it really does speak to, like, again, as I read about you and the things that mattered to you, and how above and beyond you go to helping humanitarian issues. These aren't huge things, but they do affect your local quality of life.
Oh, yeah. Oh, are we back to the sidewalk again?
No, we're not going back to the sidewalk.
No.
Please don't.
No, that's a long
But
time.
it's really strange, though, what I learned, because I was so naive to that whole process, that I came in with a fresh perspective because I had known people that were involved in what is known as the community built process. And they go into communities, and there's this whole movement that started up in Portland with, making placemaking, and it's sort of gotten convoluted over the years as more governments have gotten involved, as it usually does. They come in and screw it up somehow. But so I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself, actually, about what I was willing to do, and for just on principle. It was the principle of the thing.
You're a classic person who enters into politics on principle, and then the reality of politics hits.
Oh, yeah. You go from idealist to realist.
Yeah, very quickly.
And then you have a husband who says, please don't go into politics because, not if you want to stay married.
Let me ask you a question about, because you and Arne seem to work together really closely. Arnie's getting pulled back to the plant right now. That's what he said.
It sort of seems that way. What I'm really excited about is, I went there. I went to the plant with a band called Greg's Eggs, which was an offshoot of Zero, which was an offshoot of the Grateful Dead.
I remember Zero for sure.
And Arnie had signed them to his Pop Mafia label and released a couple records, and so I was singing in North Beach in the 90s, up and down the street in a band called Cookin' School, Mary Mack's Cookin' School, because I thought that, the band was cooking and I like food. I'm Italian. So, it kind of goes with the territory. Oh, who doesn't love food?
It's North Beach. Right? It's North Beach, for God's sake.
And it was a North Beach thing. So, I got recruited out of that band into this jam band, this jam band thing. And the drummer in the band knew Arnie through Zero, and he managed to make a deal for us to go to the plant. And I had first heard of the plant when I was in this hard rock band called Radar out on Long Island, big hair band with a female guitar player and singer. So there were the inevitable comparisons to Heart. And because we had two girls up front. And so what was I saying?
Well, was that, were you one of the big hair girls up front? Or?
Yeah, I was a big haired. I have the very funny pictures from those days. They're probably on Facebook somewhere. And so I lost my train of thought.
At the plant.
It's too early in the morning.
Yeah,
right. Okay, thanks. So the first time I had ever heard of the record plant, Sausalito, it was still, I think it was still the record plant. It had just turned to the plant, because I think 1978 it became the Plant Recording Studios, which is very strange that people still refer to it as the record plant.
Well,
because it was only the record plant for the first 6 years of its existence, and that's probably because of the big famous chain and the all that great.
You mean out of New York?
Yeah, record plant New York, and then L.A., and then Sausalito, which was the resort studio, which you already know. Because Arnie probably filled you all in on that.
Well, you know what? Arnie actually didn't refer to it very much as the resort studio, but it was. It was considered the resort studio. It was the place you could chill. We did get into it a little bit, but it was I read more about that afterward, because I remember going in there and seeing, the kind of groovy kind of atmosphere.
Yeah, the psychedelic walls and all that stuff. Yeah. It's funny because I did some work at Electric Ladyland in New York. And they had very psychedelic. The bathroom was very psychedelic, and what I noticed was it was a similar color to the back bathroom at the plant. It was it's this deep fuchsia color.
Very, very 70s.
Yeah, very 70s. Very cool.
Yeah.
So the first time I'd ever heard of the record plant Sausalito was from the guitar player in that hard rock band.
In Zero.
In Radar.
Oh, in Radar. Okay.
Yeah, Debbie. Morello. She
That is a New Jersey name. I like it.
Well, she was from Long Island.
Very Long Island.
Long Island, yeah.
Is that where you're from?
I'm from, I was born in Passaic, but we were living in Lodi, New Jersey, which there's a Lodi, Italy. It was named after Lodi, Italy. There's also Lodi, California, which I have yet to visit.
You're not missing much.
But anyway,
Sorry, people from Lodi.
I like Lodi.
I think that's probably, it looks really good.
I like it.
Yeah, we'll have to go.
Yeah. I used to have to go there for work all the time.
Yeah, so I had never heard of the record plant, Sausalito, or any of that, because I was just always in constant survival mode. I didn't really have a chance to read liner notes or anything like that. I was just always worried about everything. And
well, that's the life of a musician, right?
I guess.
Well, it's a common thread that I've heard.
Oh, yeah. You're
most musicians I know have a day job too.
Well, you have to. Rick Rubin even says that it's okay to have a day job. I mean, I remember feeling, getting that guilt feeling of you're not really a musician unless you're doing it full time. That means you're not good enough, which is really a BS. Because some of the most talented people I know have day jobs.
Yeah, there's a horn player around here, Jerry, who has a little studio over here, and he's a cab driver all day. I mean, he's a classic character. I don't know if you know Jared, but he's been around forever. And he's just driving a cab, and so I'll run into him at Trader Joe's when he's getting his lunch at his cab. I was like, "What are you doing, Jared?" You know, it's just a day job thing. That's the way it goes.
Yeah, well, you have to pay your
I think
bills,
more
right?
people do that than the other, extreme of having so much money that you can't even drive yourself anywhere.
No, I mean,
there's absolutely no survival.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've had
mentality.
Friends. Music is so great because you can communicate with people from all different backgrounds. I've had, I've played with billionaires, and we just equal on a music level, and then you meet someone who's they grew up in privilege and they don't have survival instincts. I knew this wonderful person who was a photographer back in New York, and he really didn't know how to get along because he was born of privilege. But I know people born of privilege, and they know how to do all kinds of things. There's no general stereotype.
I know some brothers who are billionaires. I can't say who they are, and I've heard them play many times, and they're just brilliant musicians. And I've seen them play with everybody.
Yeah.
And they are, whatchamacallit, Silicon Valley glitterati family, but they are stunning musicians, and boy, are they respectful to other musicians. It's incredible. And so what you say is totally true.
Yeah, it's just a wonderful thing.
And it's part of the song is part of our purpose, right? I mean, we are supposed to sing, we're supposed to talk, we're supposed to communicate in that divine way. And I'm not getting woo-woo, but that is an equalizer. And I feel like right now, with everything kind of just going sideways and up and down and everywhere, just the fact that these creatives are coming out with no alternative to help with their mental health or their survival, it's like they are just creating. They're creating.
Yeah.
Well, you have to.
You have to.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute, especially with the advent of creation, right? How the creative process has ended in terms of how it was organized before, right? What Arne did before was very structured, whether it was in LA or at the plant. It was driven by the labels. They would send artists into the studio, they would fund it, and they would get the artist to produce album or albums. Now, I'm looking at you, Mary, on Mary Mack and Livin Like Kings on YouTube. I can find you anywhere. It's pretty cool. It's such a different thing because you can get content like we're doing right now, content out there in a myriad of ways.
Yeah, that's a double-edged sword right there.
Well,
though we used to have, in people who would vet talent, and it was good and it was bad because a lot of people, if you didn't, that absolute power corrupts absolutely thing where you'd have, if you don't do it my way, we're just going to shelve your record or whatever, or they would give you all this money and then they would pay themselves back first from your percentage, which
Right.
was the worst, greediest setup you could possibly have.
We could have a very long conversation about that
Yeah.
as a business practice is disgusting. But then you've got guys like Arnie, who basically was one of the first people to hear Beyonce, right?
Yeah.
And so Arnie has an amazing ear. Mm-hmm. And he knows talent. And I remember, I think in our interview, he just said, I went down and heard this 14-year-old girl, Beyonce Knowles, sing, and it was amazing. And how he identified her within the group that she was in and said, that girl's the star.
Right. In fact, I told him, you need to tell more people this story because a lot of people don't know it.
Well, they don't.
Nobody knows it. Nobody knows it. That's
Yeah,
true.
they just
Nobody
think he's
knows
like that he knew her when. It's like, no, you don't understand. He got on a plane. He went to Houston to see these little girls dance and sing in their backyard at their house, and then he brought them out here.
Yeah, I mean, his story was so, in passing kind of thing. I was like, wait a minute. So someone told you to go to Houston, see this girl and her band sing, and you just went? He's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's how he is. I told you.
Yeah, very, very light on the gravitas.
But that's, he is light on that because that was a way of life, and somebody appreciated that about Arnie. So he had a ticket to just go do that because that's what he did well.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a different kind of relationship in terms of building this arena where,
Well, he had
Mary does this well, Latham does this, Sarita
Yeah.
does this, and we're all kind of moving towards a common goal, which is providing music to the masses. Yeah.
Well,
Okay. We've got a needle in a haystack situation right now. It's really hard to find. I think we're going back to, when you heard about a great band from your friends.
yeah. Well, I think that's good.
I do too.
Yeah, but do you remember that whole long tail scenario? I forget the person who came up with this theory, and his name escapes me. But they were talking about the long tail of if you have 1,000 followers who are willing to spend $100 on you per year, you can make $100,000 a year as a musician. So back in 2007, when the internet and Facebook was really hitting, we were like, great, we can pay our bills with music. What we didn't really understand is that everybody was thinking that. And so now we have this glut of content, and it's really hard to find the good stuff.
Well, I'm going to relate a story about just last night. I was showing my wife a group that I've been following for years, a bluegrass group called the Petersons. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
Okay, well, look them up if you like music.
It sounds familiar.
You'll love them.
Okay.
Their family, I think they're from like West Virginia or something.
Okay.
They are amazing. Like everything they do hits on all cylinders, and they do private concerts. They promote themselves. They get themselves around the world, and they're just a family unit. And what they're doing is so on spot.
Okay.
And so good. And it's a good example of like you can take control if you don't let the outside in.
Right, or if you don't let the inside stop you, which has been my main thing.
Well, right. Well, that's a common thread amongst everyone on Earth.
Well, yeah, we have that commonality.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get back to the plant and Arnie going back with you, because it sounds like you guys are in partnership kind of in terms of executing at this point. So is he going back to help these Google boys, or what's happening?
Wait, hold on. So did you work at the plant, or how did you and Arnie get
Recorded.
together?
Well, how we got together, I was starting to tell you that story. But I was in this band, and we went to the plant to record an album. And at that time, Arnie was splitting up with his wife of 25 years because she had gone on to do something else. And I was in a band with my husband at the time, and he was cheating on me. So I was breaking up with him. And so there was a lot of turmoil and tumult, and the guys in the band were like, wow, this is just like Fleetwood Mac and Rumors. And I'm thinking, I don't think our songs are that good. But
but it is very rock and roll though.
Yeah, so whatever. And so we became friends. You know, we were talking about, you know, the breaking up of whatever, and Arne was relentless in his pursuit. He's very charming, and he's very intelligent, and he's very persistent. So I agreed to go out with him, and we went for dinner, and one thing led to another. You know, the first date that we went on, we said, okay, we're not going to talk about our exes. And that's all we did for the next 3 hours was talk about our soon-to-be exes. And then, you know, time went on, and I left the band because I felt disrespected and not appreciated. Because, you know, jam bands, they don't really want a singer. They don't really need a singer. They just need someone to sing the lyrics, it seems.
Yeah, you know, jam bands are kind of like the outside is, oh, they're so groovy, everything's cool, wow, this is really mellow. And it's really, they're all egotists, all of them, and they're all just doing it for their solo, right? That's a jam band.
I guess.
For sure.
Okay. Well.
I mean, I've been around enough of those guys to know this is like, they're all full of ego.
Well, it was interesting because I was I just got to the point where I said, you know, I don't need this in my life.
If it doesn't make you happy, you have to move on.
I was not happy musically. And then my husband's, at the time, his girlfriend was there climbing all over him backstage. And I was like, this is really not fun. So I'm going to leave.
That was probably a good idea.
Yeah, so I left. And Arne was, and then Arne and I connected on a soul level, and he's my best friend, and I love him dearly. And the reason that while we were at the plant, so then I started helping out at the plant with, you know, basically doing an intern's job. I was helping out with runs, and then I was helping with events. And as the business was just on a steady decline, around, I don't know, 2006, 2007.
Right.
There was hardly any staff left, so I just was basically the studio manager because there was no one else there.
That's a big building to fill up with just a couple of people.
Yeah, well, there was one time when I had a different day job, and Arne was just running the place with one intern.
Wow.
And but as the years have gone by, we've seen other entities try to get it started up again. Mm-hmm. And it seems like they've got the studios, 2 of the studios running now. So, you know, I wish them well. They seem very sincere and have their heart in a good place. Arnie's planning on bringing projects there.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. They've got the money to do it, and they're putting that behind the arts. So that's great. I like that.
Well, right. And that's pretty indicative of a lot of things that we've seen, maybe say in the last 10 to 15 years where money has gone into projects like the plant, and they're not as quick to catch on. I don't think that people really realize what a robust group of people that you need to actually run things. Right.
Right. Yeah, unless you've done it.
Right.
You really don't know. But then again, you know, there are people when they're making the records in their bedroom. But if you notice, a lot of the tribute bands are from bands that got their start during the traditional model.
Right.
I had the record company backing. So when I was working with Arne at the plant, I came up with this plan, this nonprofit plan. As I saw how, I said, I think we're going to have to go into like a patron of the arts model, like, you know, nonprofits with ballet and opera. I think that popular music is going to have to adopt this. And I was speaking from an artist's point of view, that we would want a benevolent record label, like a Sundance Institute for Music. You know how Sundance boosted independent film. And in fact, I tried to do that in 2007, but the economy just wasn't there, and it was like, that's kind of a goofy idea. And until a few other people thought it was a good idea, and they took the ball and ran with it, but it's slightly different because my plan was based at that location. So that the new owners of the building have decided to start up a nonprofit feels very validating on some level. But
Interesting model for the record industry, though. Definitely.
yeah,
But I don't think they need the money as much as the other people did, right? They can sustain.
well, we'll see. Yeah, I think that what I love about it is their heart is in the right place. They care.
We should introduce Sarita to them.
Yeah.
She'd be a good fit with those guys.
Yeah, because, what you just said about the benevolency of this, that is different than, philanthropy used to be a benevolent activity, but it's gotten kind of skewed. So I think starting a nonprofit has become a habit for a lot of people because there's this sort of internal knowing that it will run better. But I think I've been on lots of boards lately, nonprofit boards. They are anything but organized.
Right. Well, I've been doing a lot of research, and I've put my toe in the water over the years with nonprofits, and it is Arne hates committees. He's more of the benevolent dictator school.
Yeah.
Where there's one guy who really gets it and runs with it.
Totally.
And he's really good at that.
Yeah.
When you look at what he was able to accomplish in that location from the time he was involved, they had more number one records during his tenure than all other owners combined at that location.
Yeah. And also, I think the thing with Arne is him not being, and this is how I started the interview with him, he was more business oriented. He was not into the sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Absolutely. He's a family man.
Yeah. And that was the key. That was his kind of ticket to success in that environment.
Yeah, well, he has a couple of degrees there. He's got an MBA and
Yeah, I
an
know.
EE. And,
I know.
so he's got those.
But you know what? There's no degree on
Right,
earth
right.
that will tell you how to deal with people.
No.
Well, the
Not-
thing is,
not one. I don't care
And
who
he has
would
he has the passion,
Yeah.
and he was very driven. He still is. I
Yeah.
can't. I have a hard time keeping up with the guy.
I know. He's a ball of fire, that guy.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun.
But that's why he is a perfect person to kind of take this to the next level, and also change his role, too, because he's grown into this fatherly protector, supporter.
No, he hasn't grown into this fatherly support. He's always been that way.
Well, okay.
Yeah, for
okay.
sure.
In fact, Bumps, did he tell you the Bumps Blackwell story? Do you know?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he did.
But Bumps used to call him Father Frager
Father Frager.
because he's always taking care of people. And that's just how he is.
Okay, well, as we get to 40 minutes here in this interview, I want to let you talk about what you've got coming up and talk about the saloon. You guys have been at the saloon at 1230 Grant in San Francisco for a long time.
1232.
You know what? I know it says 1232. Some places it also says 1230 everywhere.
Really?
I don't know why.
What, you mean on the internet?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Isn't it funny? Anyway, at 1231, let's call it. 1232 Grant, San Francisco. The saloon is just an old classic place. I mean, it's one of those places that, businessmen have been going to, sailors, tramps, thieves, criminals.
Plenty urban legends about that place.
Yeah. I mean,
it's an institution, San Francisco institution.
yeah, completely.
Yeah, I first walked into the saloon, I think it was 1987. But the saloon will celebrate its 165th year of existence in October
That is crazy.
of this year, yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is so cool. So it's almost right up there with Sam's Tattage Grill.
Well,
been
it was-
there a
It
long
was
time.
established in 1861 as Wagner's Beer Hall.
Oh, there you go.
It was a fruit stand and a beer hall.
Good combo.
And in fact, they used to have a trough in the bar because it was men only, and the men used to just relieve themselves right at the bar, and there was a pipe that went out into the street. Kind of gross. actually.
No reason to move.
Yeah, just keep drinking the beer.
Keep them at the bar drinking.
But yeah, it's,
Oh, my
it's
God.
an interesting place.
So how long have you been playing there?
Well,
2018 or something, or earlier?
me personally?
Yeah.
Since 1987. Johnny Nitro was the first friend I made when I walked into.
Oh my God.
When I came to San Francisco.
Oh, wait, before I forget to ask you, did you play, I saw in your discography, did you play with Joe Satriani?
No.
No?
Oh, yes, I did.
Oh.
I was one of the background vocalists in this Professor, I forget the big long, he's got this big long name of, he did an album at the plant. And he did several albums at the plant. And they called everybody in to do the shouting background vocals. So,
well, there you go. You've got that in your past. Anyway.
God, you know what it would be? What would be really fun is to have a T-shirt with on the back of it are all the people who recorded at the plant.
In fact, I'm designing one right now. Yeah.
Well, right on.
Get us one.
Okay,
I will wear that.
I love that.
Did Arne give you one of the T-shirts with the logo?
No.
Oh, we'll have to come
Arne.
Yeah. He told me to
That's
bring
why
a
we
CD,
need
and I
Mary.
forgot. I told him to bring a T-shirt, and he forgot.
Well, I want to be a part of you guys. If he's going to be recording at the plant, I want to promote anything we do. We want to promote anything he's got going on, and you have going on too.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be really fun. I mean, and just going backwards, there's about Amazing Grace, right?
I was just there when Arne was doing his interview with you.
Oh yeah, you were getting
last week.
something restrung or something?
I was getting a tuning wrench, I guess they call it, because I just bought an auto harp that needs a lot of work, and I'm trying to fix it myself. See,
Sarita got a dobro rehab by John over there.
they are so nice people.
Judith
over
and
there.
John, they're
Yeah.
good friends of
Well,
Sarita's.
So are they related to the group you said was the?
Well, I brought them up because, when the owner of that building, when it was like a shack, was selling it, John and Judy were going to get evicted. And somebody told me, Sarita, these guys are getting evicted. You got to figure out a way to get your boss to buy that building. Right. And so I did. And my boss was like, we don't need a building. And I said, no, you don't understand. Yeah. We've got to keep these guys alive.
Right.
Like if they go away, you don't even know what the ripple effect is. Right. So so he did. He bought it, and then
rehabbed it.
I was in charge of the rehab.
Oh, great!
And I asked John and Judy. I said, "What would be your perfect design for this building?" And they looked at me like, "Somebody's asking us what we want."
Exactly. That was exactly.
I mean,
I know.
I would go in there and I'd say, "Where's the design?" And they still couldn't believe that I was asking them.
Yeah, that anybody cared what they thought.
And I said, we'll go ahead and design this, but it won't work for you.
Right.
So make this for the long haul. And so you saw the inside of that place.
Yeah, it was, and I was thinking this is a really great layout. Because I walked in and I was like, you've got the workshop to the right, and right on there is the cashier receptionist thing,
and they designed it.
That's great.
And they thought about having bands come in and sing, and they really thought about what they had always wanted. So I just bring that up because that just happened, and there was no advertisement of that happening. But how many people go in and out of there?
A lot.
A lot.
Many, yeah, I would imagine. But
so
yeah,
talking more about what you got coming up. You've got more times at the saloon.
Right. Well, actually, this Thursday, we're doing a talk at a place called Mark Drive Studios. Mark Drive Studios in Terra Linda. It's an artist community.
Mark Drive Studios in Terra Linda, California. And what day is it? Thursday?
Thursday, April 16th.
Thursday, April 16th.
From 4 to 7 p.m.
And who is it?
Well, there's two visual artists, Shannon Meadows and Bill Russell, who is like an illustrative journalist.
Not the basketball player.
No, not the basketball player. And, they're the only two who decided to join on this little adventure with me. And, I just found out we're kind of going in a transition over there. So if it's like deja vu.
Are you also playing at the Fort Bragg Blues Fest?
No.
No, you're not? It was on one of your pages. Maybe they're just using you to shill their advertising.
Maybe. Or sometimes things get mixed up. Where was that, on Facebook or something?
I don't know. Can't remember where I saw it.
No, I wish.
So is your Mark Drive program at all affiliated with Mark Day School?
No, it's just on Mark Drive, which is right around the corner from where Bob Weir's TRI Studios used to be.
Oh, right.
Which was where Bay Area Sound Studios was at first, who also was owned by... It's just a very incestuous community with the art and the music.
A lot of great musicians in Marin County.
Yeah, and Sammy Hagar, I think, has a rehearsal studio around there somewhere. There's also a Bandworks, kids music program, camps right around the corner, and School of Rock is right down the street.
Uh-huh.
So it's that area is ripe for some creative renaissance. There's a lot of for-lease signs up there.
There's a lot of for-lease signs everywhere. I did a video on it in Marin County. It's just people don't want spaces anymore.
Well, yeah, they'll come around eventually to where they don't want to work where they live.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they also have the realities of landlords raising their prices to insane levels during COVID and things, and it was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so that has to, those guys have to come back down to earth.
And the housing, don't get me started on the housing.
That's another conversation for another day.
We
can
could
go
talk
into
It
that.
is for another day.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I think it's important too, because when I saw your involvement in that, of course, Latham knows how much I've put, every dime I have into trying to hit this housing thing, because if you don't have stable housing, it's very difficult to create.
Well,
Right. There's some really wonderful organizations working on that. One is CAST in San Francisco, and they've also expanded to Colorado. And then the Artist Space Trust, which is out in the East Bay, they came out of the ghost ship tragedy.
Okay, so I was working in Oakland, and I had a factory over there for many years, and I was there that day, the day after. What a absolute tragedy!
Yeah, there's Vital Arts, I believe. And I'm probably mixing all the names together, but
That was such a brutal thing to have happen.
they're all connected. And the thing is, we can't really. I was reading a poem today that was written by a Palestinian poet, where, in order for me to be creative, I need to commune with nature. I'm paraphrasing, but I can't hear the birds sing over the warplanes or something like that. So it's like we have wars going on in our own minds about our own insecurities, and then there's all those outside forces that are working against you, like stable housing and then all that.
What was that name again in the East Bay?
There's Vital Arts and Artist Space Trust, two organizations, and then CAST.
That's great to know.
Yeah.
It really is.
We'll put those in the show notes.
Yeah. Well, I think we've reached the end. Was Saloon this weekend again? Every weekend?
No, not every weekend. We're every second Saturday afternoon.
Every second Saturday afternoon, 2 to 8 or something?
4 to 8.
4 to 8.
Yeah, it's singing 3 hours over 3 hours of singing over 4 hours.
That's a lot of singing.
It's a lot of. That's why I sound like this. I'm still recovering from Saturday.
You got the rock and roll rasp.
I guess unintentional, but
I am sorry I missed it. We had issues.
Well, May 9th is our next gig, and we only have 2 more gigs with our regular drummer because he's moving out of state.
Oh, where's he headed?
The East Coast, I think New Hampshire. So now, but we have Roy Blumenfeld. They've been, we have Roy Blumenfeld sits in with us sometimes when Martin's not around, so he'll probably be doing more gigs with us.
I got another drummer for you. I'll tell you off air. Great guy from New York City. Great jazz blues drummer.
Okay.
So anyway,
We
Roy,
just have to get this. It's like the new pool of people, right?
That's the great thing about the studio is there's all these people and we need spaces where that happens. See this where I'm at Mark Drive Studios, I have to be quiet. Can't really do music there, so I feel like only a part of me is there. So I'm just using my communication skills and my event production skills to try to help create a community over there. But we're about in flux right now because of something that
Well,
that's why we got this space to begin with,
Yeah.
and we've moved around quite a bit. I mean, it's done several reinventions, but we wanted to have a space where people could actually sing or play.
Oh,
Not at a
you're
we'll bring
invited.
the band. We'll bring the band.
Well, Mary, we invite you to come down here. On Sundays is our great day here. Sunday evenings is perfect because there's no one around. It's quiet as a church around here.
Okay.
I got all the equipment you need, and I'd love to have you in.
Okay. Well,
I mean, this is our small way of doing what we can do.
Okay.
But so we're all on the same page, and we also do need to start networking our buckets of people,
Right.
in that, because that is one of the things from the past that actually could help right now, especially with people are afraid of each other. I mean, there's so much.
Oh, you think of the whole COVID thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
That was the start of it.
That's
for sure.
the start of it.
There's more than 20 artists in our at Mark Drive Studios, but only 3 of us are, because some of them are still post-COVID,
Yeah.
Oh God.
just like you said.
Yeah.
But, there's a nice outside space. There's a garden. So you should come down.
I'd
Love to.
Yeah, come on down.
All right. Well, any other shout outs for you? Got to get some. You got Mary Mack, marytamburo.com. That's MARITAMBURO.com, correct?
Yes.
And you post your most recent gigs up there.
Yeah, I have that. I have links to all my links. Trying to,
Condense it.
condense it all. Yeah, I'm trying to pare down all that online
Well,
clutter.
I mean, it's amazing because the other thing that Latham and I always talk about is how all these creative people are doing all these administrative
Right.
duties. And if you don't do it, it won't get done and people won't know where to find you.
Well, it would be wonderful if you have like a few rabid fans
Yeah.
that, like I'm a rabid fan of Fantastic Negrito. Are you familiar with his stuff?
No.
He's fat. He's just so great. When I had a day gig at a stationery store, and we pulled, he was on the radio talking on, I think it was a KQED thing, and they played a song of his, and I was almost late punching into my day gig because I was sitting in the car listening to the song, and you know how long it's been since I've done something like that?
So cool.
Yeah, he's such a rocker. He's just blues-based rock. It's so great. You need to check it out.
What was his name again?
Fantastic Negrito. He's actually in the East Bay. He was one of the first, if not the first, winner of the Tiny Desk contest.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, he's got an interesting story.
Cool. Well, Mary, thanks very much for being here today. I really appreciate it. We both do.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And we've got so many things to talk about. We'll have to just turn off the mics and get chatting.
Yeah,
Totally.
And if you'd like to come by and do a live here, we have done lives with other artists here. Just let us know.
Okay, I will.
So that's it this week from Talks from the Essex Hotel. I'm Latham Woodward with Sarita Patel. Thanks again, Mary. Really appreciate your time. And we're going to follow you and Arnie's progress at the plant. Until next time, thanks for listening.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Talks from the Essex Hotel. We strive to bring you interesting and different guests every week. Please like and subscribe to hear more content from Talks from the Essex Hotel. Until next time, see you then.